Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, all participants and crew of Second Indonesian Society of Human Genetic Conference 2021. It's an honor for me to be one of presenters in this occasion. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ratna and I'm student of Genetic Counseling, Master of Biomedical Science, Medical Faculty of Diponegoro University. Today, I will represent Dr. Damai Santosa and Professor Sultana to present you our abstract titled Distribution of JAK2 gene mutation in Myeloproliferative Disorders before and during COVID-19 pandemic in Diponegoro National Hospital. During this COVID-19 pandemic, there are still non-infectious diseases that need our attention and tends to decrease the number of patients referred due to the infectious viral COVID-19. One of them is myeloproliferative disorders, which is abbreviated as MPD. It's a group of blood disease characterized by the overproduction of one or more type of blood cells. There are three types of MPD: polycythemia vera, essential thrombocythemia, and primary myelofibrosis. And there are other types of MPD such as CML, CNL, CEL, and unclassified MPD. JAK2 or genus kinase 2 is an enzyme that normally utilized to stimulate blood production, and JAK2 gene mutation causes the enzyme to be continuously active in MPD. JAK is divided into 7 areas called domain 1 until 7 JAK homology, or we can say JH. JH2 domain is believed to be able to regulate both basal JAK activity. If there is a change in this area, there will be auto-inhibition dysregulation, and JAK2 V617F mutation in this area associated with MPD. JAK2 V617F mutation is a somatic mutation G2T in exon 14 causes substitution of amino acid valine to phenylalanine at codon 617. And now, molecular diagnosis is useful for targeted treatment in hematologic disorders or malignancies. This study was done to define the distribution of JAK2 gene mutation in MPD before and during COVID-19 pandemic in Diponegoro National Hospital. There were 52 MPD patients collected from secondary data Xavier Laboratory between February 2019 until March 2021. They were referred to Diponegoro National Hospital for JAK2 V617F mutation analysis using amplification refractory mutation screening polymerase chain reaction, or we can say ARMS-PCR, which is extremely efficient detection method of single nucleotide polymorphism. ARMS-PCR has direct diagnostic use because it doesn't require hybridization steps. The principle of the present technique relies on the modification primer to amplify a specific allele. The third end of the primer is modified in such a way that one primer can amplify a mutant allele while the other can amplify the normal allele. Only a single set of primer can only amplify a specific allele present in a sample during the reaction. Then, gel electrophoresis helps to examine the result. And this is the result. Before COVID-19 pandemic, the prevalence of JAK2 V617F mutation in MPD patients were 22.85%, and during COVID-19 pandemic were 47.05%. And distribution of overall mutation for each subtypes were 21% in PV, 23% in essential thrombocythemia, 70% in primary myelofibrosis, and 55% in unspecified MPD. And this is the graphic of patient count and its mutation before and during COVID-19 pandemic. On the left side, we had 12.5% PV patient who had JAK2 mutation before pandemic and turned out into 42.85% during pandemic. Then, ET patient had 25% JAK2 mutation before pandemic and 20% during pandemic. In PMF patients, there was 0 mutation before pandemic, but it can turn out into 100% 30% mutation during pandemic. And the last one, unclassified MPT patients had 50% JAK2 mutation before pandemic and 66.67 during pandemic. We know first cases of COVID-19 were identified in Indonesia in early March 2020. Then the government made a new regulation about social distancing, and the implementation involves the closure of schools and workplace, encouraging work from home, and restriction on outdoor activities related to defense and security aspects. The impact of this regulation is many patients canceled their appointment as well as many laboratories were closed temporarily or open only for certain days. In this case, the total number of MPT patients during COVID-19 pandemic was decreased, but the positive mutation was higher than before pandemic. This indicated that more severe patients take more priority to come to the hospital for medical consultation. And finally, we can go to the conclusion. The prevalence of JAK2 gene mutation in MPT during COVID-19 pandemic increased due to a decrease in the number of patients referred, which is influenced by a decrease in the number of patients who came to the hospital because people were afraid of being exposed to COVID-19 and because of limiting activities policy. And in this case, most cases were polycythemia vera with 21% had JAK2 mutation. And we know we can conclude that molecular diagnosis should be conducted for prediction of response to specific treatment and prognosis. That's all my presentation. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.